Good morning, although it's afternoon. But I am stuck inside because we had a snowstorm and my car isn't working, if you saw my last video. And so I thought, what a better time than to do the video about searching for employment in your 50s. But I think it pretty much covers the gamut of all of it. And I mean, not just in your 50s, it's hard no matter what to find a job now. And I will tell you from my personal experience, if you followed me, I've been work part-time because I was helping my mom, moved her into assisted living, then thought, okay, great, she's taken care of. I can get a full-time job now. Got a job as a para, and they weren't forthcoming about quite a few things. And even in that interim, my mom broke her hip the Thursday before I was supposed to start the new job on Monday. And it wasn't a job that I could just talk on the phone or leave the classroom or take time off. And they expected me to, bring her to the orthopedic surgeon and pick her up, and she had to go to rehab and do all that. So I left that job. And thank goodness I do work part-time, and they took me back. And so I am grateful even just to have that job now. And even though I know I've complained about it, but again, it's the company, and it is like how they overwork their employees, and they understaff. So those employees that are working have to work like triple the amount. So I like where I work. I love my coworkers. But again, it's just like what's happening now. A lot of places are understaffed, and it's retail, it's working with customers, as a pharmacy tech, and people get mad because their prescriptions, like all of a sudden insurance isn't covering their prescriptions and you happen to be standing in front of them. And so it's just a lot to deal with. It's a lot of stress, and so a lot going on. But so I've been looking. I'm always looking for jobs. I mean, I've always have been. When I was down in Florida last year, I worked at Walgreens while I was there. And but like I said, after I got my mom into assisted living, which was around September, I was like, okay, I can start looking. So I did that. I got that job in like December, I think I started. Yeah, after Thanksgiving. And then was done at the end of January, towards the end of January. Anyway, so I've been on the hunt ever since. I probably send out about 10 to 15 resumes a week, and give or take. Sometimes it's more. Sorry, I'm right by the window here. And but I wanted to talk about just what's going on. So I actually have a 2-year degree and a 4-year degree. I have a paralegal degree, a 2-year, and a 4-year political science degree. Actually took the LSAT, and but decided I didn't want to go to law school, and so worked in the legal field for a long time, up until about right before COVID hit. And I also do makeup, and as an esthetician, tattooed eyebrows, licensed tattoo artist. Actually, it's coming due, and it's like, I think, $750 to renew it, and I will not be renewing it because once COVID hit, as you can imagine, because I made a great living being a makeup artist, doing my esthetician stuff, tattooing, and working legal. And so it was great. But once COVID hit, all that stuff as far as makeup, you couldn't put makeup on anybody, you couldn't be close. And it really took away, like a lot of, I know photographers I work with aren't working anymore. They don't have studios anymore. They can't afford it. there's just no budget for anything. And then as far as makeup goes, a lot of places realize, sorry, we just had a winter storm and the plow's out, that they could use stock photos, or they would just have somebody come with makeup and hair already ready. And AI now has taken away a lot of that, filters, all that kind of stuff. Photoshop, they would use that anyway, but it's more just to clean things up. Now they will just use it and to forego, having like a crew to work on something like that. So that's kind of, and if you don't know, I'm 59, I will be 60 in October. And so looking for a job, I was talking to another friend of mine who's around the same age, has been looking also. And as you can imagine, a lot of times, once a employer sees your resume, if they see that you're on the tail end of your working career, although most of us now have to work well into our 60s, even 70s. I've seen 80s something still having to work because they can't live just on their Social Security. So they don't want to hire you because they know that the shelf life's going to be short, or probably. Although a lot of us, we show up on time, we're great workers, we'll do work late, we'll go above and beyond. I'm not saying that the young ones won't. I mean, listen, there's something for everybody in every generation. But, we're used to working the 9 to 5. And they would also, everything's so expensive now. Renting, food, everything, that. And now they don't even want to pay a living wage. So when I was in the legal field, I think I was making like $32 an hour. Sorry, I got my tea. And now for like a paralegal, they want you to have experience. They want you to have education, like a paralegal degree or a 4-year. And a lot of times in the specific area of law that it's in. And they're paying like $17, $18, $19 an hour. And I don't even think somebody could live off of that full time, like pay rent, have a car payment, pay insurance, pay for food, just your standard bills. So I did some research yesterday, and I'll just show you what I found. And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and about all this, and I've read articles, and assist all the same. And so going how it's challenging, I'm going to read off of my notes here. According to recent reports, finding a job currently feels challenging for many people. Even with relatively low unemployment rate due to factors like high competition for positions, recent layoffs in certain industries, they're laying off a bunch of government people, plus a lot of sticks and bricks are closing. Joanne Fabrics, there's a whole list. I just saw somebody the other day talking about this, where a lot of places, Walgreens, are closing. I don't know, I forget how many stores, like 1,200 or something like that. That's throughout the U.S. But they can't even afford to stay open anymore. So all these places are closing. And like I said, Joanne Fabrics just closed. A lot of restaurants just closing like out of the blue. Like they just can't support themselves anymore. So that people, even with education, are fighting for, before those were usually like college age kids, like let's say restaurants, waitresses, stuff like that, waiters. That was a lot of times younger people with, going to school or whatever. But there's so few jobs that now everybody's fighting for those jobs. So there's a lot more competition. So perception that employers are being more selective, making it difficult to land a new job despite seemingly strong job market. In essence, while jobs may be available, the process of securing one can feel quite tough, and I can attest to that. Key points to consider: high applicant volume. I think it says it down here, but I think for like each job posting, they're usually getting around 300 applications, and AI weeds them out, and I'll talk about that soon. Many jobs receive a large number of applications, making it harder to stand out as a candidate. Industry-specific challenges. Certain sectors like tech have experienced significant layoffs, leading to a highly competitive job market within those fields. Ghosting by employers, and I'll talk more about that. Some job seekers report not receiving responses from employers after applying or interviewing, adding to the frustration. I can attest to that. Perception versus reality. While the overall unemployment rate might seem low, the experience of finding a job can feel significantly harder than statistics suggest. And that's the truth. And I was watching, I'm back on TikTok. I finally could get back on, and a lot of recruiters, even, or people who do the hiring at these jobs. One guy was saying that they put a "we're hiring" sign on the door, but they really aren't hiring because they get some kind of, I don't know, they get something for saying that they're hiring because it's a perception that they're generating jobs. So this is from a Consumers Affair article, job search statistics for 2025. A job search can be a difficult process for anyone, regardless of their experience level or qualifications. In fact, an estimated 75% of resumes are rejected by applicant tracking systems before they even reach human hands. So that's this new AI thing. So if you're like, my age, 60, 50s, older, and you haven't had to apply for a job recently, and over the last years too, you don't just upload your resume and send it off and then they look at all of them. You can attach your resume, but you have also, for each application, you have to refill in like your education, your work experience. So it can take at least an hour, if not more sometimes, to even go through the process of just filling out one application, and then never to be seen. On Indeed, you can see if an employer has looked at your resume, and I get notice like, oh, so and so has looked at your resume, and I will tell you probably 90 at least, maybe more, but have not even opened my resume. And we'll talk about keywords because it's not being flagged that it should look based on keywords. So I'll talk more about that. So the tracking system before they reach human hands. When a resume does reach a hiring manager, it will only be screened for an average of 7.4 seconds. 7.4 seconds. So even just to have somebody open your resume, and then when they actually do, like 7.4 seconds is how long they're looking at it. The selective environment on the employer side of the job hunt is partially responsible for the lengthy amount of time it takes job seekers to secure employment, but changing preferences among would-be employees may also prolong the search. A May 2023 survey by the job search site, FlexJobs, found that 95% of workers prefer work environments that are either fully remote or hybrid. i.e. a mix of in-office and remote work. And so you've seen like, COVID. Well, COVID, you've seen, employers have seen that it can be done. And actually, I haven't looked that up, but I know there are statistics that say that actually they do work plus some, because when you're at home, you can log on at night when you have some downtime. You can get up early in the morning because you don't have the commute and roll out of bed. You don't have the commute home. And it's just a lot less stressful. And you don't have, you may have meetings on Zoom, but you don't have like, somebody stopping by your office and talking to you for 15, 20 minutes. Although for me, that would be something, that I miss. But the benefits outweighed all that for the employee. And like I said, you see that it works. But only 81% of remote capable jobs in the U.S. actually offer that kind of flexibility, creating a gap in expectations between employers and the workforce. So a lot of them are, trying to make them come back into the office. And after it can work and you've like now have this routine. And I'm not saying I could see like the hybrid, like half in, half out, I think that would be a great compromise. But here, who am I? Just my opinion. AI, so this AI scans resumes by using algorithms to analyze keywords, skills, and experiences. It can also use numerical data to select candidates. So how does AI scan resumes? So this is why a lot of them aren't even being seen, because there has to be keywords, but I digress. 1, analyze keywords. AI looks for keywords that match the job description. So in your resume, if it doesn't have the keywords, then it's not even gonna put you in the pile to even open for the 7.4 seconds. 2, analyze skills. AI looks for skills that match the job description. 3, analyze experiences. AI looks for experiences that match the job description. 4, analyze numerical data. AI uses numerical data such as timelines or the density of certain words to select candidates. 5, rank candidates. AI ranks candidates based on the number of matches with the job description. How can AI help with resume screening? AI can process thousands of resumes in minutes. So it's not a human looking at it. It's just AI weeding it out and just sending them what resumes actually have these keywords. There can be somebody who is the top candidate and AI will not send that resume through because maybe there are no keywords in there. How can AI help with resume screening? AI can process thousands. Okay, AI can highlight top candidates, but if you don't have the keywords, you're not getting in. AI can predict a candidate's potential success in a role, and AI can help hiring managers review candidate skills quickly and accurately. And you know how they say AI is taking over? Because AI is not human, and AI is doing all that before even a human eye can see it. And then we see that maybe they look at it for 7.4 seconds, and that's the end of that. And you've put in all this time, and I will tell you too, from just researching and watching stuff, a lot of times, let's say you're in a graphic design career field, and what they'll do is they'll have a pool of candidates, and then they'll keep having interviews. But then I just saw this one on TikTok. She had already gone through 4 interviews. She had been interviewing since November for the same job. And then the recruiter or whatever is like, oh, there's another thing, and you have to do, it's like homework. It's like working on a project. So you're basically doing work for free. Sorry, here comes the plow. So you're basically doing work for free. So they've already had her go through 4 interviews, and now she has a project on top of it. And a lot of these projects take, they even say 24 hours, or, they give you 12 hours. And then a lot of times you have to present it to people, and then they don't hire you. But I have seen where they have actually taken that and used it in their company because it was free work and you've given them this, and because it was part of the interview. And they say sometimes they do that just to get the free work. Listen, again, I've never had to do that. I was asked to, I know, a couple of times. No. Mm-mm. Okay. So there's something called ghosting. And ghosting is there's a lot of jobs out there, a lot, that it isn't even a real job. It's posted, but they aren't even really hiring for it. And so this is an article from Indeed. You know, Indeed is, a big platform where you go to find jobs. And the title was "It's Not a Scam, It's Just a Ghost Job." And this says this article was updated March 3rd, 2025. So recently. And it says, have you ever applied for a job only to eventually find out that the company you applied to isn't actually hiring? You're not alone. As it turns out, not all job postings are connected to real job openings, earning these listings the name of ghost jobs. So can you imagine, like you're applying to all these jobs, and I'm one of them, that like a lot of them aren't even real jobs that you're applying to. A 2022 survey from Clarify Capital, small business loan provider, discovered that 43% of hiring managers kept job listings open even if they didn't intend to fill the role, to give people the impression that the business was growing or to keep their current employees motivated. So if you're an employee and you see there's a job opening and it has your title or something, you're like, oh shoot, I better work harder because they're looking for people to fill my position. Other survey responses included wanting to keep a pool of applicants in case of turnover, keeping options open in case there is an irresistible applicant, and because they forgot to delete the listing. Of course, this is frustrating for job seekers as the application process can be stressful and time-consuming. Yes, it can feel counterintuitive when it seems like most companies nowadays are scrambling for workers. Yeah, that's what we're hearing. So how can job seekers avoid wasting their precious time applying for jobs that don't really exist? Red flag number 1, there's no detailed job description. And you'll find that, I tell you what, there are so many that don't even give how much it is an hour, how much they're paying. And those right there, I'm like, yeah, if you can't tell me, then I don't have the time to even waste to, why would you waste your time if you don't even know like a ballpark number of what it's going to pay? Red flag number 2, there's no indication when the job was posted or it was long ago. And red flag number 3, compare the listing to information on the company's website and social media. So, usually if it's a big company, they'll post job openings on their website too. So I guess you can go see if it's on Indeed, but it isn't on their website, then it's a ghost job. A single job posting is estimated to receive as many as 250 applications. And I'm assuming now it's even more, especially with the layoffs, from everywhere, the government and everything else. Of that number, 75 to 88% are considered unfit for the position. So, okay, and then, like I said, AI screens most of these. This makes screening applicants for a single position time-consuming. So it's also hard on the HR people who have to go through all this. It's approximated that they spend as much as 23 hours in the screening process. How can you increase your chances of getting a job? Number 1, limit your job search. In your job search, work on applying for specific roles in the industries or sectors you're qualified in rather than submitting a wide variety of applications to jobs that might not interest you. And I get that, but here's the thing. When you're looking for a job, once you've gone on like Indeed and you've looked in your area, let's say, of expertise, and you've applied to all the jobs that are there, it's not like many new jobs keep coming. So, you're like excited right away because you're like, oh, I just applied for 20 jobs, that were in my field and I got the background for it. But then after that, you're even looking on other places, LinkedIn, all these places. And once you've kind of freshed out of the jobs that were there to begin with, there aren't many more. There's a slow trickle, if any. And so you're just looking to see, like, okay, what would I want to do? What would I be good at? Or, can I get in there? Read the basic requirements before applying for a job. Review the basic qualifications and make sure you have those experience and skills. So that's another thing. So as I'm looking, again, the legal field isn't paying a lot. And then when you go to the, where it says the description of all the things that you have to do, it's like, okay, they're paying $17. And then you're like scrolling, like the description of all the things like you're responsible for, are huge. And I talked about this before in another video I just did about how I did get interviewed last week. I had put an interview, it's for the city, and they wrote back and said because they had so many people applying that they had to then change the qualifications. Well, you had to have a 4-year degree, and what I got but then they put even more qualifications on the job, but then they even upped the pay. So, I mean, that all worked out. And they reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to have an interview with you. And I'm like, great. So we had a Zoom interview, and it was with 3 people. And they told me that they were interviewing 26 people. And I had applied for this, like now it had been a month ago. And so we had our interview. They said they had 26 people to interview. And then they were putting it down to 8 people. And then from that, because I think they said the next interview will be March 21st. So that's not till the end of the month almost. And then after that, then they'd have to narrow it down from there. So the process is going to be like 4 months all told. And so, if you're looking for a job and you need money and you have to get a job, it's hard to wait that long. Incorporate keywords into your resume. Include keywords relevant to the position and industry on your resume to increase your chances of an ATS processing your application. Many companies use ATS, which is AI software, to screen candidates for a job position, and they often program their ATS to search for specific words or phrases that indicate which candidates have the necessary qualifications for the position. Locate keywords for your resume by selecting words and phrases from the qualifications listed in the job posting, and personalize different versions of your resume for each of the jobs you apply for by including keywords unique to that company's job posting, goals, and values. And so now they want you to, for each resume you send, that you have to go to your resume and change the resume each time and put in the keywords that's in the job posting that you're applying for. So for each job you apply for, that you have to do all that work. And again, when you're applying for, 10, 15 jobs a week, sometimes 30, 40, I mean, how many ever you find that you think that you either would be qualified for or want to do, that you're supposed to change your resume each time for that. Emphasize your unique qualifications, highlight your unique skills, experiences, traits, achievements throughout the application. Include only the most relevant information, write information in each application that's the most relevant. And I know too, a lot of them want, because it gives you, so you fill out all that stuff like from your resume, then you upload your resume, and then they say upload a cover letter. So for each one then too, you're writing a different cover letter, usually specific towards the job that you're applying for, because you want to tell them, like, hey, I'd be a good candidate for this, because, people say, oh, you can just do a generic cover letter. It kind of, now you specifically, again, they aren't even seeing them, but you specifically want to say, I'd actually applied for one and I wrote a cover letter, and because a lot of times I don't, because I'm just applying on my phone. And he said, "Oh, I'm glad you did a cover letter because I wouldn't have known." But I knew I didn't have like the experience that it was in a very specific area of law that I worked in, but not much. And like he needed somebody just to be able to jump in and kind of take over, edit your application, edit and proofread cover letter and other application materials before you submit them. Okay, and it says, how long does it take to find a job on average? According to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average length time unemployment, oh, this is from 2023, and that was 20.9 weeks, and that was a little over 5 months. I mean, okay, that's still a long time. I've seen people, like it's been 7 months, it's been a year, and again, a lot of times they may be in the interviewing process, but it's taking so long that it maybe you have a good chance at one, but just the whole process, and then they can say no too, like takes months. Okay, so here we get over 50. Finding a job over 50 can be difficult due to widespread ageism, where employers often perceive older workers as less adaptable, more expensive to hire due to higher salary expectations, and potentially closer to retirement, leading them to favor younger candidates even if they have the same skills and experience. This can happen even though it's illegal to discriminate based on age. Well, I don't think it is anymore. I think they took that away. It's a whole diversity thing. This is not political. I am just saying that, and we know it happens. Even with it, it still happens. They aren't going to say it, of course not, but key reasons why finding a job over 50 can be challenging: perceived lack of flexibility. Employers may believe older workers are less willing to work flexible hours or adapt to changing work demands due to potential family responsibilities or health concerns. As we get older, like I said, I have sciatica. Was one of the problems with like lifting the kids and changing diapers all day. And they were 3 and 4 year olds. They didn't have any like normal sized chairs. I was sitting on little chairs or on the floor. A lot of times it was mostly on the floor, and then quickly having to get up and chase after a kid. Cost factor: older workers often have higher salary based on their years of experience, which can make them appear more expensive to hire compared to younger candidates. Technology concerns: some employers might worry that older workers may not be tech savvy, or younger applicants, even if they possess the necessary skills. Perception of shorter tenure: hiring managers may assume that an older worker will retire sooner, meaning they might not be as invested in the company's long-term goals. Implicit bias in hiring practices: even unintentional biases against older applicants can influence hiring decisions, sometimes without the hiring manager realizing it. Job market competition: with a large pool of younger job seekers, older workers might face more competition for available positions. What can older job seekers do to overcome these challenges? So what can you do? Highlight transferable skills, stay updated on technology, network actively, tailor your resume and cover letter, carefully craft your application materials to highlight the specific skills and experiences most relevant to the job you are applying for. Here's the thing. I graduated with my 4-year from the University of Minnesota because I was just applying for a job, and that was in 1999. And so when they see that, they're going to know how old I am, or around how old I am, and so that's a good tip off to them. Be prepared to discuss your career longevity. Address concerns about your retirement plans directly, and emphasize your commitment to staying with the company for a significant period of time. I'm sure they know too, a lot of times people can't retire, 62, they're 65, 67. Now again, people are working well into their 70s. There's a guy that started in the pharmacy, and he's 69. He's almost 70, and the greatest guy ever. Everybody is like, we can't wait until Steve comes in because he's just the greatest. And there's another lady, Carla, same thing, and so nice and hard workers. And I said, hey Steve, how's it going? And he's like, I don't know, Tracey. I don't know how I'm doing. He goes, because we do these things, they're called PPLs, and you have to finish it before you can go work in the pharmacy. And, doing something and answering questions on a screen, and it takes a long, long time. Like, it takes weeks to finish these. And, but then you go in, and reality does not go with what you read. Like, forget all that. You just had to do that. But then you're in the real world, the real setting, and all that stuff like goes out the window. It's a hands-on experience kind of thing. And the hard part also is that there's a lot of things to deal with, like insurance, like there's different cards, there's different codes, there's all this stuff that you like have to know to try and get sometimes insurance through and stuff. And so when you're so busy and you ask somebody, hey, can you come help me with this? Like somebody who knows, who's been there a long time, like they'll come up and they'll just do this and be like, yeah, okay, there you go. Because there's no time to actually properly show somebody how to do it so that they can do it themselves, because you're just trying to get the work done to get on to the next person, because the line is, 30 deep. And, same for the drive-through. There's cars. We have a tier 5 store, so it's the highest level, most traffic stores. And there's just like never a dull moment. And then it's not something that you can kind of show really when nothing's happening, because you kind of need to be in it to be like, okay, this is what you do here. You can't really like, I guess you could, but I don't know, like make something up, to show that. And there's just no time. There's just no time. But there you go. That's kind of where we're at with, again, I just did some research on it, and I thought I would give you like what I'm going through right now. And I know that it's really a deterrent, being going to be 60, and again, knowing that, they think you're towards retirement age, and they don't want to have to, like train you in. And especially they think we don't know much about technology, I think, and train you in, and then, you leave in 2 or 3 years, and then they have to go through that process all over again. And again, they, older people who have more experience in a certain field usually expect higher pay. And so they know that someone who just got out of college in the same field, they're just starting out, that they'll be happy to take that pay. So, it's a catch-22. Here comes the plow again. All right, there you go. Just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what I've been dealing with, and I know a lot of people have been dealing with. And yeah, so I don't know, I hope this helped. Let me know if you're dealing with this, if you're looking for a job, and what you've run into. Also, if any of this, like, if it relates to you, or if you see yourself in any of this. All right. Well, I'll see you in the next one. All right.